Brady is Back is presented by the Oakers Company, proud sponsor of the New England Patriots.
That's right. Brady is back. We're back for the fourth night in a row. Michael Felger is here. Tom E. Curran. I'm Michael Holley. We've covered a lot of ground. We had Brady 1.0, the early dynasty, 3 out of 4. We had Brady 2.0, the back end of the dynasty. We had where it all went wrong. The divorce and why the divorce happened. Tonight we're going to talk legacy, boys, legacies. So let's talk about the legacy of Tom Brady. Felger, I'll start with you. What is the legacy of Tom Brady?
To me, it's the winning, and that's just personally what I care the most about. And, to me, that's what sets him apart. Not that he's not still the greatest of all time. He just hits where I really care about is the wins. And I think when you get to that level, the greats of the greats, it is about the rings. It is right. Ring counting. And to me, the number that matters is 7, and that's what makes him the greatest of all time. I don't care about the MVPs. I can't even tell you off the top of my head how many has he won. 3?
3-ish.
3? You don't know.
Right,
so
exactly.
This proves my point. I talk about this all the time. How many rings does Michael Jordan have? 6. Everyone knows that number. How many MVPs? You don't really know.
Who knows?
You got to look it up.
Lost one to Karl Malone. He's still mad about, but, what's the number?
You got to look it up.
We know he has 6 finals MVPs.
No one counts MVP. When you talk about the greats of the greats, no one counts MVPs. No one counts all-star bursts. No one counts records. They count rings. And so that's it to me. 7 is his legacy.
To me, the legacy is a little more ambiguous. It's one of the more lightly regarded superstars in any sport has elevated to the highest level. Michael Jordan was a 3rd overall pick. But with Brady, it's the rags to riches. And it's also the metamorphosis of him from unassuming boy next door to transcendent global mogul.
Yeah.
And I think that's fascinating too, but all while never being satiated. You look at the guy he succeeded, Drew Bledsoe, and he was satiated, I think, when he rose to a certain level. Brady maintained a hunger to be what he was, and now he's changed the conversation about how long an athlete can compete. The legacy to me is on not just he's the greatest football player that ever lived, but I think he's the greatest winner and the greatest team sport competitor in the history of organized American professional sports. I don't know about soccer.
Yeah, but I'm saying I'm going to bounce right between you guys because I think both of those answers are where I am. That's where I am. Winning, absolutely. And to your point, Felger, I always used to say, I don't know how many yards, career yards Joe Montana had before we even knew about Tom Brady. Joe Montana, I don't know. I just know, I know Dan Marino has a bunch of yards. Don't care. Joe Montana was the winner. And that's really what mattered. And your point of playing for a long time and really it's kind of transforming like the whole journey of Tom Brady from Michigan to splitting time to early New England years to where he is right now. That's amazing, and that really jumps out to me. That's why I say he's the best player of all time. His legacy is best NFL player I've ever seen because I've never seen anybody be elite this long. But anybody, not Jerry Rice wasn't. Lawrence Taylor wasn't. They made their peaks may have been better than Tom Brady's peak. But Tom Brady has been elite, I would say, since 2002.
Here's where I have a hard time with the greatest football player ever, because I do believe it to be Jerry Rice. Because Jerry Rice is so far ahead of everybody else. And yes, Jerry Rice played until he was 43.
But not at an elite level.
No, not at the same elite level. But Jerry Rice is Ruthian. And when you look at Brady, he is Babe Ruth, based on longevity, but when the gap is so profound, as in Ruth hitting 60 home runs and the guy in second hitting 11, it's insane.
So you have Jerry Rice as the greatest football player of all time?
I have a hard time declaring that Tom Brady is the greatest football player of all time. Easily the greatest quarterback, the greatest winner in American professional sports history. Sorry, Bill Russell. But to me,
not going there.
It's a walk in terms of.
So Brady's the second greatest behind Bill Russell? Are you still Bill Russell?
No, I love Bill Russell. I just wanted to have a Bill Russell argument with you today.
We were doing
but Brady is. Yeah. I would say Brady just because, and, Russell did 11 and 13. It's still 13 seasons of playing in the NBA. Tom Brady, I don't know when he's going to stop.
But not to go too far down this road.
Yeah.
When Russell first started winning, he beat the Syracuse Nationals. Wait a minute. The Tri-City Riverhawks, the Fort Wayne Pistons, and the Rochester Royals. This is a long way of saying, Mike,
So you might go make me rip Bill Russell tonight.
No. But the greatest athletes on the planet were playing NBA basketball when he had his run. Tom Brady is facing the greatest athletes on the planet and 32 teams of them. And so this is at the height of the height of the height. It's not Russell's fault, but the league just wasn't.
And here's
what it is.
To piggyback that,
yeah.
In 40 or 50 or 60 years, when we're looking back in 2090 at this and saying what he did, say he played until when? He was the first guy who ever did this. And I think that will be the legacy, the same way we look back at Ruth. The Russell thing, it's interesting when you make that comparison, but what he's doing has never been done before. And I don't think guys are going to have 25-year careers.
What's the Michael Jordan quote that we have from him?
Right there. I was just going to say that. Speaking of Michael Jordan, in 2013, Brady had his sights set on Michael Jordan. According to this anecdote from the Athletics' Jeff Howe, Julian Edelman had never seen the board. During the 2013 offseason, he uncovered Tom Brady's greatest source of motivation. The teammates had been working out together in Los Angeles when Edelman saw a prominently displayed whiteboard in Brady's home gym, scripted with the sole objective: Super Bowl 38, right? 48. February 2nd, 2014. So many. MetLife Stadium. At the time, Brady had 3 Super Bowl rings, modest by his standard. That's because Brady's standard, as Edelman would find out in that moment, was well beyond the scope of anything he can imagine. Bro, how crazy is it that you're going after Montana? Edelman asked Brady. I ain't going for Montana, Brady responded with an unmistakable air of confidence. I'm going for Jordan. So if you look at, I know we talked about Bill Russell, different era, but Jordan is a modern superstar, a global icon as well. Is Tom Brady Michael Jordan? Has he passed him?
Yes.
He's passed him in numbers.
So, right. So this, I think, leads to Tom's point about now, how long are you going to do this for? And that sets a whole new thing. That's a whole nother chapter that is going to be, I guess in the first sentence, too, 7-time, 8-time, whatever he ends up winning, Super Bowl champion who played till 40 whatever. That's the whole big piece of it too.
And the funny thing is Jordan, because of the nature of that sport, he turns into baseline turnaround Jordan. Brady is still playing like Brady would, almost in a more explosive way. When we look at that, it's interesting to just harken back to what we talked about a little bit last night. After he won against the Atlanta Falcons, that was his 5th Super Bowl win, and someone told me, now it changes for us. I said, what do you mean? Because we have 5. Nobody else has 5. And that meant there's no Montana, there's no Bradshaw. We are on an island unto ourselves. And now things are going to change and we're going to build our brand, was the intimation, which we have seen. And the brand has led him, in some ways, to Tampa Bay and now, because the Patriots weren't on board with the waning and twilight years that they anticipated of Tom Brady.
Okay, let's go back to the thing that always comes up, has to come up.
Yeah.
How much of it is intertwined with Belichick? Would he have been Tom Brady, 7-time Super Bowl champion, if he was drafted by the Arizona Cardinals?
No. I think Bill Belichick second time around, and Tom Brady first time through. So Belichick second time around comes to New England, doesn't have Tom Brady, has Drew Bledsoe and somebody else. I think does win a Super Bowl, certainly doesn't, and may not win multiples. I think Tom Brady with the Arizona Cardinals, hey, congratulations, Arizona, you won your first Super Bowl title. And then he'd be a hero there because he gave him 1 championship, but I don't think he wins multiple. Well, he doesn't win 6, probably a couple. I just think that thing together at that time was perfect. And I know the last 3 years, maybe even longer in New England, were terrible, were miserable for Brady, and maybe even miserable for Belichick too. But the beginning of the dynasty, I think they both needed it. And there's no way it would have happened if you replace one guy with another. If you bring in another head coach, you bring in Bruce Arians here, or if you bring in Philip Rivers.
No, it's
not going to work.
He needed that kind of hand on his back to push him and direct him in a certain way, to tap into that discipline and nastiness as a competitor that he had, Brady did, and single-mindedness. And Belichick was able to do that. But the interesting thing is, say it was Chad Pennington and Drew Bledsoe, if Mo Lewis hadn't intervened, but say it was Chad Pennington here instead. I think they might have won Super Bowls.
Yeah, they might have
in
won
that first decade.
Well, they might. I mean,
they would have been a really good friggin' team. But it's blowing Bledsoe out of there. All those.
You know who I think they'd be? I think they'd be this. I have a lot of respect for this franchise. They'd be the Ravens.
Yeah, they'd be something like that.
So they'd be the Ravens. Yes. It's that franchise. I mean, they're smart. Yeah. They make good moves in free agency. Defense, they draft well when they're drafting well. and then they get that done.
So I think it's possible. This might be blasphemous on the Brady's back special to say that if he were drafted by the Arizona Cardinals or Dick Duran in Chicago or some bozo place like that, he might not even be an NFL quarterback.
Wow.
No.
Okay, well,
Wow.
but
really?
If you allow me a second to explain, I will explain. He was a 6th-round pick.
Give me time. Don't talk over me.
He was number 199, which they drafted at 199 too. Don't tell me the Patriots saw something special in him. They saw exactly what everyone else saw in him coming out of Michigan. 199. Okay? So Belichick saw what he really had once he got here, right? Elevated him on the depth chart in year 2 and had him right behind Bledsoe ready to go. I don't know if another coach would have seen it. Lloyd Carr didn't see it. The rest of the league didn't see it. So what's to say that Brady doesn't become number 2 on the depth chart by year 2? Maybe he's still hanging on as a second, third string guy. He only gets his chance on a really bad team in a real dire circumstance, and he's not good enough to elevate them beyond being a bad losing football team. Maybe he's behind a bad offensive line, a bad coach. He gets the crap kicked out of him. 6th-round picks. You got to have lightning in a bottle, and you got to catch it at the right time because you don't get second chances as a 6th-round pick.
Right. But you got to have lightning in a bottle to win championships. But I do believe that Tom Brady eventually would have won out because of his ability to throw the football, which was underrated. There was a time at which Lloyd Carr finally said, screw it, you're our quarterback halfway through the year.
Yeah.
He became the quarterback. He was a highly regarded, highly sought high school athlete. He had SEC schools after him, Alabama. Eventually, Tom Brady would have found his way to being a Pro Bowl quarterback in this league. To me, the legacy of Brady is he separated from Belichick and became the point of the spear from 2010 through 2018. That, to me, separates Brady from Belichick and the intertwining.
Yeah, Mike's right. Okay, look, you got to be with the right franchise. That's what we're seeing right now with these rookie quarterbacks in the league. Zach Wilson's with the Jets. Who knows? Urban Meyer's going to screw up Trevor Lawrence for a while. Sure. The next coach will be good with Trevor Lawrence. So you never know who you're going to get. But I will also say, and Chris Sims says this a lot, sometimes people who work in the league are stupid. Yeah. Right, the league was really – the league missed on Tom Brady. I know the Patriots weren't the Patriots missed too, along with the rest of the league. Think about it. The guy was 20-5 as a starter at Michigan, a big-time program. Well, it used to be. A big-time program. He was a captain of a team. He played in bad weather games. So that's a good. He was a low turnover guy. His body, he wasn't in shape, but he also wasn't fat. So you could work with this guy. You could make him into a good quarterback. The league should have looked at him, and I'm not saying he should have been like a top 15 pick, but he should have been a 3rd-round pick.
God, please.
He should have been a 3rd or 4th-round pick.
Neck and neck with Tim Rattay or whatever.
I mean, these guys,
with the guys.
Ronnie Kamazi goes before him. Spurgeon Wynn goes before him.
Who's the guy from Tennessee?
Christian Ponder.
T Martin. T Martin went before like a lot of guys.
But listen, you just said what separated, unentwined Brady from Belichick was the last couple of years here. What's untwined Brady from Belichick is right now, is going somewhere else and winning. Like that's how Brady was a bigger factor than Belichick. I mean, that's what wins the argument, is that he goes somewhere else and wins without the other. Bill hadn't done that.
So to that point, does his legacy change?
Yes.
Like we're talking about his legacy right
enhanced.
Now. Is it still, we're still building this thing?
Yes, it grew. Going somewhere. Yes. Not just doing it at this age, but winning without Belichick. His legacy went up and Bill's went down. And those are the consequences of what has happened here.
There are so many degrees of difficulty that have been added to what Brady did. 2010, after the Randy Moss, Deion Branch, okay, first unanimous MVP. 2014, he wins a Super Bowl against the generationally best defense, or at least the best defense of this century, the Seattle Seahawks,
right,
and does so with Deflategate hanging over him. He beats back Deflategate, beats back the distraction of that. We're not going to have a Deflategate program here, but
it's on the rundown. We've got it if you want.
But in doing
why not?
so,
why can't we have
a 28-3 comeback. A comeback for the ages.
We will talk about that,
and in those 2 Super Bowl wins, again, he changes to, okay, what? There were still people before that Atlanta Super Bowl who were like, he's still not better than Manning. Still.
Yeah, he had to fight that for a long time.